Hello everyone. Today we'll go through the use of dynamic display rules in your Yeeflow approval forms. Creating the dynamic display rules with conditional logic allows you to have a dynamic field, grid, and even a form. It allows you to create fields or grid that behave differently based on specific rule. You set the rule and tell it what actions to perform using the dynamic display rules when you're editing it. Then you will have a different field, grid, or form based on a data subject's selected responses. Basically, all controls will have a dynamic display rule. To find this rule, you can click on a control, then click on the Dynamic Display Rules button under the Appearance column of the Control Settings panel. Assuming that you are on a business trip request form and you choose to reserve a flight, the information that needs to be filled out accordingly will appear. You can use dynamic display rules to set it up. Select the information field, and under Appearance column, click the Dynamic Display Rules. In the pop-up window, you can set the rule and tell it what action S to perform using the dynamic display rules when you're editing it. Click the button at the end of the rule to open the expression editor. In the expression editor pop-up window, you define the condition is what triggers the rule and is made up of an element, an expression, and matching criteria or function. You can create conditions based on number, text, expression, function, and operation symbols. Here we can click on the expression button, select the workflow variables, select reserve flight, and click on the insert button. Click on the equal button. Click on the text button. Then enter yes. Click on the OK button. Now you can see the rule is set up and you can select the corresponding action. The action will occur when the specified rule is true. Click on the action box. A drop-down box appears. Here, we choose Show. And click the OK button to complete this setup. Next, let's click on Preview to test it out. Please note that flight information is only displayed when Yes is chosen and disappears when it is unchecked. In addition to a single control that can be set up with dynamic display rules, we can also use controls such as grids to do this with multiple controls. In this purchase order request form, under the supplier and contract information columns, when the existing supplier is selected, the information about the existing supplier will be displayed. When a new supplier is selected, the information about the new supplier will be displayed. We'll start by dragging a grid control onto the form and then drag the existing supplier-related controls into the grid. Then modify the grid title and grid layout. Click the Dynamic Display Rules. In the pop-up window, you can set the rule and action. Next, let's click on Preview to test it out. When clicking on the existing supplier info pops up. Let's go back to the Form Designer. We can set the same dynamic display rules for new supplier information and test it out. For one field or grid, you can create multiple conditions in a rule. In the PR basic information, we want the reason to be editable when the asset class is internal and the purchase class is brand. Click on the Reason control in the left panel. Under the Appearance column, click on the Dynamic Display Rules. In the pop-up window, click the button at the end of the rule to open the expression editor to set the rule. Click on the action box. A drop-down box appears where we choose Editable, and click the OK button to complete this setup. Next, let's click on Preview to test it out. You can see the reason is not editable at first. It can only be edited when a specific asset category and purchase category are entered. You can create multiple actions to run any or some actions when its rule is true. Under the Choose PR and Items column, the background color of the projects field will change to yellow when the priority is high, and the font color of the projects field will change to red when the status is not started. First, we set up a dynamic display rule for the priority of the projects. Click on the Projects control. In the left panel, click on the Dynamic Display Rules. In the pop-up window, click the button at the end of the rule to open the expression editor to set the rule. Click on the action box. In the drop-down menu, choose Set Background and select yellow for the color. Click the OK button to complete this setup. Next, let's click on Preview to test it out. Next, we set the dynamic display rule for the status of projects. Click on the Projects control. In the left panel, click on the Dynamic Display Rules. In the pop-up window, click on the Create Rule button, then repeat the above steps to set the expression editor. Click on the action box. In the drop-down menu, choose Set Font Color and select red for the color. Finally, let's preview and test both dynamic display rules at the same time. Now that you can empower your approval workflows with dynamic display rules. If you want to know more tutorials of Yeeflow, please stay tuned to our channel. Thanks for watching.